You're watching The Whole Living Show on Trajectory TV.
You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me.
Hey, everybody. I was jamming in the background because I love my show over there. I hope you do too. But it is Wednesday. It is time for The Whole Living Show. And tonight I have somebody that you already know from TV on with me tonight, my very bestie in life here tonight, because we're going to be talking about life over 50, or the second half of life. This is what we call it because we're going to live to 100 or more. So we call it the second half of life. But we're going to be talking about, we've been having conversations about this a lot lately. So we want to get into this conversation. For those of you out there who still feel really vibrant, you're getting up there, just say, over 40, over 50. Hello, Marilyn. Thank you for joining. The beautiful Marilyn Morales is out there tonight. Thank you so much for joining the show tonight. Listen, for us women, and I'm going to say women, and listen, this is nothing against the men, but we women have these conversations about, life after 40 and life after 50 and what it means to really live in the second half of your life. So we're going to get into this conversation tonight. But before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about, now I'm not talking about war, and we all know what's going on out there, but I like to bring you just some real topics. And this is just, completely off the cuff, but I'm just going to say this, right? When you start to take away basic needs from people are going to fight back, right? So I just want everybody out there to think about how you look at what's happening in the world right now. And I'm not even saying blame one side or another, because at this point, what's the blame really all about? People are losing their lives. And I just want to bring to light that, we need to start treating people like human beings, right? Or spiritual beings having a human experience, and it doesn't matter where they're from. Doesn't matter the race, creed, culture, what property they own, what land they took over. It doesn't really matter. We're losing people. And I wanted to bring this up because I've been watching The Walking Dead with my son, right? That sounds crazy, The Walking Dead. But there's so much more to this show than just, the zombie people that go around eating people. The storyline is absolutely amazing. But it made me think about the times that we're living in right now. And, some people say that art emulates life, right? Well, you can always find some context about what's happening in life right now on some television show, some movie. And as I was watching this, I was thinking about present day and what's going on and the conflicts around, we're being attacked by this whatever it was, virus, disease, right? Sounds familiar, doesn't it, everybody? But what's happening also in this show is that people are still attacking people. People are still fighting for territory. People are still against one another. People are still not trusting. In a time where you have this other thing, this foreign thing fighting people, people need to come together. If we thought about life like that all the time, think about how much better life would be. So I wanted to just mention, not really the war itself, but I just wanted to mention to all the individuals out there to love on people. Please, we need to get this. We are being attacked right here in the world right now. We've had the pandemic. There's a lot of natural disasters happening. I need people to just really realize that you need to just start treating people better. All people, no matter what race, culture, doesn't matter. All people. We all got blood running through our veins, right? We're all just people, and if we get stabbed or shot, we're all going to die the same. So I just wanted to mention that as I was watching this show, this is what came up for me because it really is applicable to current day and life as we know it and as we have known it. So I thank you all for that, just listening to that. Thank you, Marilyn, for your comments as well. That's right. Love changes it all. I saw your comment there. Love definitely changes it all. And we need to operate with a lot more love to one another. So I have my bestie here. And as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about the second half of life. And I want to know out there what that even means to you. Do you identify with the second half? Because I'm 52. Going to be 53 in March. And I always say I'm going to live to 100, to God be all the glory. I really can't determine if that's going to happen or not. That's not really up to me. However, what I am focused on is living my best life now, especially after 50, right? My second half. So I'm going to bring my bestie in. We are in the same predicament. We're the same age. Hey, bestie.
Hey, Trey. Hello, whole living. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So some of you out there, and Marilyn says she's almost 55. Well, you look amazing. And listen, some of you out there know her. You see the background because we are co-hosts on our show, Fem Talk, as well. But we've been having this conversation a lot lately about life, in the second half. We've been having this conversation a lot lately. Even just last night, we were talking about this. So I just thought, we need to talk about this, bring this to the forefront. And as I'm making another transition in my life, which continues to happen, right? Life always changes. There are things that are always happening. There's transitions to be done. There's challenges that you need to meet. And then there's changes that you have to make revolving around your life. So how do you handle it all? And how do you think about what's next? Like what comes in your second half, especially if you are, I'm going to say 40 or over. Hey, Laura. Now I have to bring up the beautiful people that are out there. I have not talked to you in so long. I miss you. I love you, my dear. Thank you for joining the show tonight as well. So bestie, tell me what comes up for you when you think about life in the second half. Yeah.
I think I immediately think of myself when we think about it because it's what I'm expecting. But I also would be remiss because I want people to understand. We love you too, Laura. That your second half doesn't have to be at the 50 mark. So just keep that in mind when you're writing your comments. It's the point when you realize I want something to be different in this next portion. It could be half, it could be quarter. But for me, it's half because I too, like my bestie, am in the 50 club. And we love it.
Yes.
Love it. And didn't think that we would, but we do.
And listen, it's just a number.
As a matter of fact, I'll be 53.
Yes, on Friday. She said she'll be 53 on Friday. And it's just a number, really. I think of it as it's how you feel. How do you feel? Physically, emotionally, mentally, how do you feel? And what came up for me today too is, are you living or are you existing? And Laura had just put the word existing out there. So what does it mean to you, Bestie, when you think about living? And what does it mean to you when you think about existing? And I think we have
I'm going to take existing first. I think I have a delay and I'm trying to work through it. I'll start with existing because I think that's the more limiting version of Shima, I'll say. Just going through life, doing what I need to do, because I know, what is expected of me. Not really opening myself up to new opportunities and things like that, or new experiences, or trying something new, or changing my routine. Living for me is doing everything and anything and everything that brings me joy, that helps someone else, because those things bring me joy, that helps this world because that would bring me joy. It doesn't necessarily mean what aesthetically feels good to me all the time, because it does require me to do something, to give back, to be a part of community. And those things in an adverse way gives me joy.
Yeah. So. And that's living. That's living too, right? Like when you can bring some happiness, some assistance, some love, some peace, some joy to somebody else's life. That's really living. I wanted to address what Marilyn said too. She said, I feel like I have been living more in the last almost 5 years than I did before. The thing that changed is my mindset. Woo! Now, I know we throw this word around all the time, right? Mindset. But it really does take you changing, how you think about things, right? And how you allow them to affect you, right? In order for you to really change your life. And that all is a part of your mindset. So I'm going to shift a little bit here, because you and I had this conversation not that long ago. When you think about mindset and you think about will, right? We were talking about, how we felt about will and willpower, right? So when you think about, and I'm just shifting here because she talked about the mindset, and the mindset and the will, right? Do you have the will to, I'm going to name a couple of things. Do you have the will to fight whatever is coming at you? Whatever that is in life, whatever it is, if it's in the form, if it's, tangible, you could see it, or it's people, or it's not tangible, it's something internal. But do you have the will to fight whatever that is that's coming at you? That's number one. Right. Do you have the will to accept change, whether you initiated it or not? Do you have the will to find purpose? Another word that gets thrown out there a lot. Right? So I want to hear your comments on that. Tell me what you think. And I know I threw out a lot, but I just want people to really think about what that means.
I kind of pair will with want. It's a delay. I apologize. I'm not sure why. I kind of put will with want in I think we talked about that the other day when we were talking about it. I have the will to change. I think that's the one thing that stands out the most about the three questions you asked. I have the will to change because I've adapted to change with experience and things that I did not create for myself. A lot of it's planning. I learned to plan better. So that meant being accepting change. My
Say
tongue
that
does
10
work, I promise. um, so I do have the will to change. I do have the will to try new things. Because in my mindset is always telling me what could happen.
Mm,
Oh, it could be great. Oh, it could be wonderful. It could, I think I live in the lane of hope.
mm,
So my will is always rejuvenated because your will can get
mm,
beaten down. Mine gets beaten down when you're anticipating something to work for you and it doesn't.
mhm,
It takes your active portion, your active participation to say,
mhm,
that was horrible. It did
mhm,
not work, but I'm going to try this differently, or I'm going to try this
mhm,
again, or I'm just
mhm,
going to try something new because
mhm.
I still have the hope
Yeah.
that it will come out better.
Yeah, yeah. And I didn't prepare this, but just because of what you were saying, and I remixed as they do on Instagram, and I hopefully you guys can see this from my phone because just because of what Shima was just saying, I posted this today because it was a little girl, and I love when I see parents, basically filling their kids with all this goodness, right? To prepare them for their future, to have the will to fight. Hey, Reggie Satchel, thank you for joining. To have the will to fight, right? So this little girl, I had to repost this because, and I hope you guys can see this from my phone. I'm sorry I didn't have this posted on the show, but I just want you to see this, and hopefully this will play for you. You can see this. Oops.
Just to,
Oh,
yeah.
maybe I think my phone is, okay, the volume was down, so we're going to start this all over. Give it 1 second. We're going to start this all over. But, so I'm going to pivot a little bit to say, train your kids, right, to fight, right, to keep going because challenges will always happen. This is the life that we live in. You heard what I was talking about earlier. The challenges are going to be there. But if you train a child up to have that mindset and that will to continue to keep going, to continue to keep fighting, to make sure that giving up is not an option for them, it's not acceptable, then they'll be able to do that when they get older. So I want to play this for you guys. Let me, I had to let it start over because my volume was down. But here we go. Here we go.
Do you still want to be a chef? Yes. Why? I won't give up on my career. What? I won't give up on my career. You sure you want to be a chef? Yes.
Oh God.
Why? I don't say something and then I end up doing nothing. I don't do that. People like me don't do that. People like you, what you mean? I mean, children like me. Yeah. Don't do that. Yeah, what? We don't give up. Oh. Try and try. Give me a answer. I mean, this girl doesn't give up. We must keep trying. Yes. So we get it, and then we start a new life and do it. Wow. And we're gonna win the trophy. We're gonna take this up a notch. My God.
I absolutely love that. And she just kept saying, people like me, we don't give up.
Right.
So she knows, at that young age, I don't know how old she is, but she's young. She already knows who she is, right? Like in this way of like, I've got the power to fight this thing and I'm going to try and I'm going to try and I'm going to try. And I even love at the end where she's like, I'm going to take it up a notch.
Right.
What?
She's going to win the trophy.
The trophy. That's right. That's right. So, when you're building these mindsets, these strong people, right? And it doesn't have to start at that age, but if it does, it's absolutely wonderful, right? Because they'll be unstoppable as they continue to grow. But, I will attest to this, right? I started later in life.
Right.
I've always had willpower, don't get me wrong, but when it comes to am I living or am I existing? I wasn't living, I was existing. I'll be honest. I'm gonna be real transparent about that. I didn't start living until I was in my 40s. So I was just existing. I was doing what was expected. I was living the status quo. And I'm not saying I didn't have great moments. I have some great memories. I had a lot of love. I got all of that. But I wasn't really living for myself. I was doing what was expected of me. There's a difference, right? Yes, I had happiness. Yes, I had joy. Yes, I had peace in my life. And I had a lot of love. But I was not living the way that I wanted to really live. You look
And
like
you know what I think about that? I do, because I'm thinking we really, I guess, wholeheartedly didn't. When you say you didn't start to your 40s, we wholeheartedly didn't do it until then, because we did what we were supposed to do. We were existing, but we had living moments, and we had lots of them.
Yeah.
Because we were able to balance the both of them. But when we got closer to 40, it was, I want to do less existing and way more living. So that means I need to change some habits. I need to let some things go. And I need to be okay with if it doesn't go 100% well the first time or the second or the third. But my goal, because the goal doesn't end, the goal ends when you're done, when your existence is over. When your goal is to have way more living and living experiences than the status quo.
Yeah. So let's talk about these other two words, right? Because this is what I think about when I think about changing it. And like you said, there were living moments, right? We traveled, we did a lot of things, right? We did a lot of things that were fun. We enjoyed family. Like, so there was living moments. But now when I say living now, I'm talking about life with purpose and intention. And it doesn't mean that there's not things that you fall back on, right? Because, and I'll attest to this too, right? Went back to corporate America, right? And now transitioning out again. But when Marilyn said mindset, my mindset around that life is so different now. And how I choose to continue to live my life and what I knew it was for in this part of my life versus what it was for in the past is completely different. I view it completely different. So let's talk about life on purpose and life with intention. What does that mean to you?
Instead of having it given or letting it live you, you live it. You make your own choices. Like you said, we talked about the other day and working and the way we worked, it was admirable. It was creating a work ethic that was admirable from your employer, your family, society, but it was what was expected, like you said. So doing it on purpose doesn't mean I don't work. And I'll say this in my own life. It doesn't mean I don't work or maintain a job, because if that is what I'm doing, that's what I'm doing. But my mindset has to be different, and I have to do it with purposeful intent. Meaning I go in there to give what I am to give. This is what I think. This is what Shima does. But I don't give all of me. They do not own this mind or this heart or this body. And I'm still able to be creative and imaginative. And I set the boundaries because I want purpose and I want intention. And I don't want it to be hampered by structure that is not mine, or directions, or what I don't want to say permissions, or non-permission. That's not mine, that I did not set. I want my boundaries to say, you get this portion of me, because this other portion has to do what my heart says. So
I love that.
Don't stay here till 6 o'clock. If it's over at 4, it's over at 4. I'll see you later. Don't tell me when I get home, because it's over at 4.
Yeah, and that was a hard thing for me, right? And still, to this day, right? Just used to working and working so hard, right? But got to the point now where it's like, no, you
Right.
don't get to take this much from me. I'm not going to continue to allow myself to allow you to take this much from me, because that's really what
That's
it's all
right.
about. It's not them doing anything to you. It's you
It's
accepting.
forgiving. Yep.
Yeah. And our mentor, our producer can attest to this. Our mentor always says, "Are you investing or are you spending?" Right?
Right.
And when you get to the point where you're in corporate and you're giving so much of yourself, you're spending.
Spending.
You're not investing. You're no longer investing, right? So you have to get to the point where, and we have another young lady, and I don't want to misquote this, but she always talks about, like, is it a resource for you, right? So if it's not a resource, and this comes with not just money, right? It may be a financial
Right.
resource, but if it's sucking your time, your energy, your physical body, like if it's sucking things out of you, then you may want to consider moving on. And that's whatever it is. We're just using corporate America or a job as the example, but it doesn't
Exactly.
necessarily have to be that. If things are sucking things out of you that
Right.
you shouldn't be giving away, right? If it's depleting you, right, then it means that there's time for a change. So I've made a change today. I'm gonna I'm gonna say that I made a change today because I realized also, and let me backtrack though. I realized what I was doing, what I was allowing in the situation, but God also blessed me too. So I don't take that for granted.
Right.
And I don't take that lightly at all. So, yep, we're going to say that right here on the Whole Living Show, because God has blessed me. So I don't want
I have to agree with you that I think we're both in that same situation. It's all about how you see it. It's perspective.
Yeah.
And I'm accepting it because it was a blessing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to take a quick commercial break right here, but I want you all to think about, is there something out there that's depleting you and what you feel like you need to do to change? And you've got two coaches right here on stage. So if you need help out there, we got you. We got you, because I guarantee you we've probably experienced something very similar, if not the same, to be able to help you to get around this thing, or I shouldn't even say around, to get through it, right? Because that's the best way to go through something, go through it. So we're going to take a quick commercial break and we will be right back. We are talking about the second half of life.
Without truth, freedom doesn't exist. My soul has always been based on the principles of freedom, which is getting to the core or truth of an issue. Choosing the name Radical Press embodies me. When you look at the etymology of the word radical, it's about getting to the root of shit, derived from the Latin word radix, which literally means root. Press is the medium in which we use. Press can be in print, video, voice, or any type of media that gets information to the people. Radical Press Magazine is about bringing truthful information and real knowledge to the people through a different lens.
All right, everybody, we are back. And if you saw that commercial, Radical Press Magazine, we are giving truth in that magazine. Want you to make sure that you Get your edition of Radical Press magazine. It drops the 20th of every month. You can go to radicalpress.org and read it. I always say this, you guys have probably seen the beautiful ladies who are contributors to Radical Press, along with the CEO and founder, right here on the show. The ladies are here the last Wednesday of every month. And boy, oh boy, what comes out of those conversations is absolutely amazing. But that magazine is a whole experience. So, get it for yourself, read it from cover to cover. It is one of the most amazing publications that you will ever lay your eyes on, and your ears for that matter, and all of your other senses. So I thank you for that. Yes. So we are here talking about the second half of life. So if you have missed any part of this show, you want to make sure that you go back and watch it. Go back and watch the first half so you can prepare for your second half of life too. But before the break, we were just talking about, is there anything that's depleting you? What's kind of sucking life out of you? And, what do you feel like you need to do to make changes? So I'm just being real transparent about my own life because, I went back to corporate America. It's not my purpose or my overall intention, right? But it was necessary, and it blessed me. And actually, I feel like, I needed to go back just to see some things in the industry that I had missed while I was away from it, in order for me to continue what's happening now, because God's been blessing me with things in this industry again, just in a different way. So I can remember when I went back, God said to me, I didn't tell you to lose what you have or to let go of what you already have. And when I think about that, even though I wasn't in the place where I wanted to be, it was necessary. But I got some tools right now in my tool kit, right, that are preparing me for next steps that God has been blessing me with. So it says on the screen, you see, take your power back. You have to take your power back. And it's just, again, what Marilyn had mentioned earlier. It's about your mindset. So what I had to think about in those moments while I was working again is, this is not the end all be all. This is a step. This is a platform. This is to catapult. This is to prepare you to continue. So what out there, have all of you been going through, and you're looking for, some type of resolve, some way to get through? And I'm going to let my bestie talk about her own experiences, because she's had a lot of them as well. So talk to us about, what you allowed to deplete before that now you look at differently, and you're changing things because of it.
I think I probably spoke about it on this show and on our other show often. Just thinking that work was the end all and be all, and putting things like my health and certain relationships on the back burner, because I felt like they'll be there. They'll always be there. I'll figure it out later. And I'll say right in the midst of when I thought work was my safety net, I was losing my dad. And though I know clearly that we all have a limited time on this earth, I just didn't think it was then. So when I'm so wrapped up in work, and I'm so wrapped up in working and being at work and wanting to be on time and giving them 110% of myself, if that's at all possible, I felt like if this mindset had triggered in a little earlier, even though I was saying it to them then, I would have said, y'all could kick rocks, because the time that I spend here over what is minimally needed for my life, I could have been spending with my dad. I could have been making sure that my health was good, making sure that I was setting myself up for complete sustainability, where I didn't think that this job, your paycheck was my net. So that is what I learned immediately, all at once. I want to feel like, and now my mindset on any job, and I don't even know if I should say this because I'm always switching around and looking for a new job. But my mindset on any job is I'm not there for your entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a clouded statement. It's not. I'm not there for your entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm there for you to fund my dreams,
Mm-hmm.
my artwork.
Mm-hmm.
So when I go there, it's not the end all and be all anymore. It's
Mm-hmm.
not you hold my future.
Mm-hmm.
You participate and you contribute to the future that I'm creating for myself and that God is blessing me with. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing more than that. So my focus is very different on how life works for work.
Yeah.
And that because of that, it changes how I am with my health, my family, my finances.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I want to have the freedom. Yeah, I'll say freedom a lot in a lot of when I talk about what I look for in life. The freedom to do and to live and to be who all of who I am and who I want to be happens when I'm able to make the decisions that allow me to. And it's not live with somebody else's decision for me.
Yeah. And there's a couple of things that came up for me there when you were speaking, but I can remember just when I shifted my mindset years ago around that whole part that you were just talking about, this is not necessarily my dream funder, because I didn't think outside of what I was doing, right? Because I was all focused on career. So I won't say my dream funder, but I adapted this attitude of, I work hard, so I'm going to do a lot of what I want to do here. You know what I mean? Because I give you a lot of me, so I'm going to take a lot of, time back, some freedoms there. I always had that attitude because I was like, listen, I'm here doing the doggone thing, like our coach says, right? I'm here doing the doggone thing. So because I'm doing the doggone thing, I'm going to take bits and pieces of how I want to spend my time, you know what I mean? How I want to be there for my family. I'm going to take some of those back. But I went into this other situation, right? Working from home and not really expressing that same mindset. And I had to stop and think, like, what the heck is wrong with you, girl?
Right.
It never worked this way, right? So you gotta change things up. But what also was coming up for me as you were speaking, when you were talking about, and I think I just lost something there, but you were talking about, these freedoms that you build and having this attitude around it. And I was thinking about something else, and now I don't even know what it is because this is 50. Because this is 50. So it'll come back to me. So this has been a saying amongst me and my friends, my bestie, my girlfriend down here in Charlotte, North Carolina. We've been making jokes about being 50 because there's these little things that keep happening where you might lose something real quick. You get it back, but this is 50, y'all.
Right. Oh,
so
yeah.
got to laugh at ourselves too. In this,
it may have always happened, but it seems like it happening even more at 50. You walk out your room and you're like, wait, was I going to the bathroom or was I going to the front door?
Right. He was so cognizant of it now, right? Like, oops, what was I about to do here? And I always make a joke. Okay, so there was this show that used to come on. It was called Stepdad, right? And it was funny to me. Like it wasn't funny. Like the storylines weren't funny because he would, get dissatisfied with his current family, kill them off, and go get himself a new one. But it was funny because every time he did, he would change his name. And when he changed his name, he would forget sometimes, and he would be like, oops, who am I here? So when I have those 50 moments, I'm like, wait, who am I here? Like, what am I doing? What am I doing?
He has killed so many people. He forgot.
Yeah. But yeah, so when we think about like taking ourselves into that next part of life, let's start talking about what that looks like. What does that look like for you now?
Oh, I feel like because I know what grounds me,
Mhm.
I have the opportunity to do everything, like to try everything. And,
Mhm.
it's, oh, I wake up today and I want to be, I want to give a post, or I want to speak to someone. I want to speak into someone's life or
Mhm.
bless somebody. I know that I can. And
Mhm.
because I've built up, my resource and my receptacle, and that means internal, that's not
Mhm.
even money, that's not even finance, because I've built up my joy and my wisdom and that power that we initiate when we want to do the things that make our hearts sing.
Mhm.
I can pour out and I can choose to do it. And when
Mhm.
those days are not balanced, I can choose not to do it and not feel
Yeah.
defeated, or that I'm expected to be this whole person all the time. And today
Mhm.
is just not that day.
Mhm.
It all comes, my bestie and I talk about choice all the time. It
Mhm.
comes down to knowing, because we knew it our whole lives,
Yeah.
knowing you have that choice, but actually choosing it.
Yeah. Yes. 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 Yes.
It
Yes.
yeah,
Yes. Yes.
it's a wonderful thing when you get on this second half. I'm telling you,
Yes, it
I've seen
is.
the world on this second half than I've seen
Yeah.
in my entire life.
Yeah. And
It's different.
that has been a thing for me for a few years now. When you think about, the power of choice, and even when I'm coaching people, right, on the health side of it, the physical health side of it, it's like you get to
Absolutely.
choose, how you want to live. And this is not just about the physical health, it's about everything, but you get to choose. You have the power to choose. You have the power to choose to make the changes. You have the
Mhm,
power to decide how you're going to allow things to affect you. You know what I mean? You
mhm.
have the power to live healthy. You've got the power to work a job or build a business. It is all within you. You just
Right.
got to take action on it. And nobody said any of it is going to be easy. That's not what
No.
we're saying. We're
Mhm.
saying you have the power to choose and do, right? Make the
That's
choice,
right.
because when you make a decision, you still have to put some action behind it. So you see that purpose, intention, action. Nothing happens without the action, right? Everything needs to continue
That's
to
right.
be in motion in order for things to happen. So, but I got my thought back. See, this is 50. I got my thought back. I was thinking when you were speaking before
Ding,
about
ding, ding, ding.
right, right. I was thinking when you were talking before about living in the present moment, because you started to mention the thought is back, folks. You started to mention
I just saw that at the bottom.
I know, I know. But you started to mention just the way you choose to live life, right? And you started to mention how you get to
Mhm,
choose, spending time with your family, doing your heart work, right? And I started thinking about being in the present moment. Oftentimes, we are not living in the present moment. We're always thinking about what else needs to happen, what else we got to do, where do we have to go, right? But if you stop for a moment and take each moment as it is, right? Where you are sitting, standing, right? The people that you're around, the things that you're doing, if you really started to indulge and engage with all of that, right? How
mhm,
how great life becomes, right? And we're all guilty of not doing it, right? Because there's so many things happening in the world and
mhm.
we're always in motion, we're always moving, right? But I always use this example. My son is a person who loves to look around, right? He's always been that way, very curious, like his auntie here, very curious, always touching things, always. And I can remember when he was little, and I always tell this story. But I was that corporate person, and I'm rushing out the door, and I'm trying to get him to. This was like preschool days, and I'm trying to get him to preschool, and he's looking at every bug on the ground and every leaf, and we used to have in my old house a walkway that wrapped around. So my front door was on the opposite side of my driveway. So we had to go around to get to the car that was in the driveway. And I mean, he would look at every little thing along the way. And I'm like, you gotta go, we gotta go. And I finally one day I stopped and I was like, I'm just gonna let him do him in this moment. I'm not gonna
That's
rush,
right.
rush, rush him so much because I need to allow him to explore. And while he's exploring, I'm just going to explore with him. So, and
Right.
even at night when we would come in in the evening, we're fascinated by the moon and the stars, and we still do this to this day. And my son is 16, but I love the fact that he still loves that. And we're always looking at the moon and the stars. But had I not really thought about it and stopped, I would have probably changed a little bit of who he is, right? Because
Right.
and that's our wonderful producer popping in there. But I would have changed a little bit of who he is if I had stopped him, and continued to stop him
Right.
from exploring.
Right.
So what do you do to live in the present? And you're really good about this. So I want you to
I
really
am.
talk to people about this. You're really good about living in the present moment.
You know what? When the whole time you were talking, everything for me is a movie. You guys know, my bestie knows me. People who work with me, hang out with me, they know that I'm visual on my own and even in my own head. I try to be visual for people when I talk to them. So living in the moment for me is not necessarily blowing off all the important stuff or ignoring what needs to be done. What it is I am storing up joy. I'm storing up energy. I'm storing up positivity, laughter, heart, sometimes tears. I'm storing it up. I feel like, I'm about to tell my age, when Super Mario Brothers is running and he's gathering coins, and he's gathering coins because he needs those coins to do the other things. I'm gathering time with family, travel, seeing this world, reminiscing about what I've read and attaching it to memories of actually being there. I'm storing all of this stuff up, and it builds me, it strengthens me, it propels me in those moments when I'm out there doing hard work or hard work, sometimes even when you don't want to, or dream work that is not going the way that you want, that doesn't come to fruition when I want it to. It doesn't make itself available or appear to me at the moment that I'm expecting. So I got all these coins keep saying coins, all these coins that I'm amassing because I'm gonna need them to excel while living. So I sit for a minute. I might have to sit on the side of the road and watch the kids go into the school, and I'm getting 50 and 60 coins. Why? Because the little boy is on the opposite side of the car and his mother's on the left side trying to get him out because he's too busy trying to get the bottle of milk that he dropped yesterday that she didn't see. And she's telling him, you need to get out of the car now. And he's telling her, I have something more important on this side, Mom. I need to see that because that's going to make me laugh. That's going to make me think he is an independent thinker. And I'm excited that he's going to expel that independent thinking into the world. But I wouldn't know that, and I can't take joy in that if I don't sit and watch it for a minute.
Oh, I love that. So, I love that. I love that. First of all, you used you had the Mario song, like the music in my head. Because you used that example, and I'm like, I could see him going through the game, collecting the coins, and I hear the music, but that's when yeah, exactly. You think about being visual, right? You just see it. But I love that. I love that you just talked about watching everything. I live in North Carolina. I live across the street from an elementary school. So when I'm coming and going, I often do the same thing. I watch the kids as they're crossing the street. I watch them as they're playing on the playground. I even listen while I'm in my office. I listen to some of the screaming, the screams of joy, the screams of, oh, that baby might be hurt. I hear it all because literally is right across the street, and the playground is right on my side of the street. But I love it. I missed them during the summertime. Can't lie. I missed them because it was like it's life happening around me. And there's nothing better than little kids to me. And when they're laughing and they're playing, there's nothing better than that. So stop sometimes what I'm doing just to pay attention to what's happening outside because they're out there running around. But I love that you said that, like just being able to stop in those moments to see things, right? That may bring you some joy, give you something that you need. And those coins, I love the analogy that you use, like storing up the coins,
It could be financial. It could be whatever. It could be love. It could be.
Yeah.
I watch couples and they're kissing. I'm not a voyeur. Maybe I might be, but I watch them. I watch them. I watch them. Yes,
Don't come get
Sonic
her.
and the Ring. Exactly. I watch them interact. I ear hustle very well in
goodness.
restaurants. We're eating together, and my friends seem to think sometimes that I'm just being nosy. Sometimes I am.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
right. That's right. I'm looking. Sometimes I am, but just to give you a quick example, I listened to this man feed into his two sons like I have not heard in forever. And you would have thought he was feeding me because I was like, oh my God, he's explaining to him, pay attention to your bill and what they charge you and the tip and what card it goes to, and pull the chair out for the lady and make sure you have money in your pocket or cash in your pocket. He was just going in about how to be a man and how to be respectful, how to treat the wait staff and all of these good things. I had to say something to him because now I'm full. I got all my coins. I done ran by him and got all those coins. And I said, I got to give back some of these coins to this man because he has filled me and pushed me so that I can go and fill somebody else. So let me just give a few to him because he doesn't know that he's giving me what I need
Yeah.
to do what I got to do. I always was.
Yeah, so that's amazing. It's amazing and I love that you poured it back. Because that's the important thing too. I definitely I can say I really thrive on live events and being around people, especially when the intention of it all is some positivity, something that's going to feed people something good for themselves,
That
right?
energy.
Or when you're giving the audience something, but the energy that comes and the exchanges that happen with people in those moments, everyday life could be like that. And my son looks at me like I'm crazy. And I have to be honest, I used to look at my mom like she was crazy when I was younger too. I'm always talking to people in stores, wherever I am. I'm always having some type of exchange with people because I just love it. I love to be able to give something or maybe get something from it, right? So because of that, when you're out and you're amongst people and you're amongst life, have these exchanges with people. Don't be scared to do that. That's what living is all about. We were talking about living and existing. When you're living, you're having exchanges with people. There's energy that's being exchanged. There's some currency that's flowing and you're getting something and you're giving something. That's what it's all about. One of my coaches used to talk about, holding your hands out. You got to, with this camera, holding your hands out, right? And when you're holding your hands out, energy is supposed to flow. And what she said was the receiving hand is your left hand, the giving hand is your right. And it's all supposed to decipher in. So when you think about, even when you're in those modes where, because we were raised to give, we were raised to serve. We've done it. They raised us in church that way. And we did it our whole lives. Right. But, and it was hard for me. She was saying to me, your left hand, the receiving hand is closed. Because it was really hard for me. I was just so used to giving. But she said, well, how can you expect to give if you're not receiving? She's like, the currency has to flow through you in order for you to be able to give back out. Right. The saying, you fill your cup, right? So that you can give from your overflow. So you got to keep those hands open. Allow your receiving hand to receive and allow your giving hand to give. Don't clench anything when you're out there because you want to live. Right. You don't want to just exist. So free it. Whatever you're clenching, let it go and allow things to flow through you. So listen, everybody.
If it leaves you, how does it come back? If you got something closed, if you close your hand, it can't come back. It's going to come back.
And that's the purpose of it all, right? It's supposed to come back. And you are supposed to expect it to come back. not in
Right.
the same form that you were giving it. It's not going to come that way, but
That's
there's
right.
always an exchange. There's always some
That's
currency
right.
flowing. There's always some energy flowing. It's always going to come back. So you
Absolutely.
want to make sure that you're not clenching, you're not holding on to anything. Allow for the currency to flow, allow for the exchange. Go out there and live life. Don't just exist. Figure out what makes you happy, what brings you pure joy. I've been saying since I was like 8 years old, I'm not going to let anything rob me of my joy. It is still my saying. I say it to my son all the time. I tell him to say it as well. Don't allow yourself to be robbed. Open up your hands, allow the exchange to happen, and allow yourself to live life. We love you all out there. We thank you for joining me and my bestie here on the show. This is life second half, right? Life after 50 for us, but the second half of life. And we are living it and loving to share it with you. Join us next week, Wednesday, right here on the Whole Living Show at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be joined again by Linnell and Chad Osinga, who are absolutely amazing. We're going to be talking about transitioning over to a vegan and holistic lifestyle. We thank you, everybody. We appreciate you all. Take care.
Good night.